Hi guys, I'm Shmee, and today on the Where's Shmee Euro Tour, we're visiting AC Schnitzer in Aachen, Germany. Now, I came by here a few months ago and had a look around the workshop, but unfortunately there was a lot of snow on the ground, which meant I couldn't take anything out for a test drive. Today, however, we're going to have a look at a new introduction that AC Schnitzer launched at the Geneva Motor Show, and that is their aerodynamic package for the i8, the ACS8. So we're going to have a look around the car, I'll show you all the modifications, and then I'm going to take it out for a short little test drive before coming back for some other cars later on that will feature in due course. So let's take a look at this car, and first thing you're going to notice is the colour. It is very striking. It's a chrome red wrap with a satin finish over the top of it, so you get that kind of satin chrome look, which is really quite nice, especially when the sun comes back out on it. So let's hope that happens again quite shortly. But the main thing obviously is to talk about the modifications and updates from AC Schnitzer. Nothing changed to the power side of things on the 3-cylinder i8. We'll talk more about that shortly, but let's talk visual for the moment. And firstly, starting around the front, you've got a new lip spoiler down here. You'll notice that everything has AC Schnitzer badges. You can order all the parts independently as well, actually. You've got these flippers around the front with the sort of end plate to them. The canards installed just above. There's a new grille style at the front of the car. You've got the new bonnet vent, which you can have with or without that central part in carbon fibre. All of these parts are finished in the glossy carbon fibre. Door mirror caps. This side vent here with the ability for airflow to come out, just to reduce a little bit of swelling from the front wheel arch. You've obviously got new wheels, AC Schnitzer 21-inch wheels, and one of the main advantages of these being a little bit wider gives you a little bit more grip, which was one of the flaws of the original i8. You can probably tell it's lowered slightly. 25mm lowering springs at the front, 20mm at the rear, just to give it a more aggressive stance. Coming down the side of the car, you've got the side skirt fin down here too. New carbon fibre components just here behind the door handle grab, which is, I think, quite nice as well. It sort of emphasises that part of the car. Similarly to the front, you've got some openings here to allow airflow out of the car. And on those parts. Then around back, you've got the distinctive rear spoiler, giving the car a more aggressive stance and presence, and obviously a more aggressive diffuser down below as well, just coming down to have a look at that. But the aim here is really to make the car have a little bit more prominence, a little bit more sort of standout supercar-y looks to go with the kind of statement piece it makes as BMW's flagship car. So we'll have a look at interior in a moment. Just one thing while I'm here, you might know that the car has kind of carbon roof and parts by default. It's not necessarily the world's most tidy carbon, but didn't make a carbon roof on that sort of grounds that there wasn't a huge amount of point. But I've got the key right here, so let's unlock it. Have a look inside. Just a couple of things on the interior. If you didn't know, the i8 has the doors opening upwards out of the carbon fibre tub. Quite awkward to climb into, but gives you a bit of more sense of occasion. Down here, AC Schnitzer floor mats, the metal pedals, and one more thing on the iDrive. So I should probably go around counting the number of AC Schnitzer badges on the car. That could be quite entertaining. So on a more basic i8 level, if you're unfamiliar, it's got the 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine making 231 horsepower, but it also has the electric motors making another 131 horsepower for a total of 262. You can get 24 kilometers of all-electric range or 530 kilometers with a full tank if you've got the petrol motor powering the electrics. As a result of that, all-wheel drive, pretty brisk, 4.4 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour. Top speed limited to 250 kilometers an hour, 155 miles per hour. Now, you can't actually open or access the engine or the motors to see any of that, unfortunately, but it's a 3-cylinder engine. But like I said before, one of the things the car was sort of flawed for was its sort of handling and grip at the front end. So with those wider front wheels, front tyres naturally as well, should have a little bit more stability and control. So we'll experience that in a moment. Just noticing another AC Schnitzer badge right there above the ACS8 logo on the rear section. So I mentioned before, and I'm sure many of you know this already, quite amusing little thing with the i8. Take this section and it looks like a 911. That is a 911 sitting inside the back of an i8. I've got you there, haven't I? Now you're going to be seeing that every time you ever see an i8. Anyway, let me come around and climb in. I'll show you a little bit more on the inside. So I've driven the i8 before. You might even have seen my video. The car obviously came out a couple of years ago now, so it's not brand new. I'll pop the key there. Just have a quick comes to life. We'll be on a electric range to start. As you can see, 23 kilometers to go, nearly 400 of standard driving, I suppose. But this is the sort of trippy thing with electric cars. You can just sort of pull away and off you go. And although this is a hybrid, not a full electric, it will do, I think it's 49 grams per kilometer, which is, in terms of emissions, a ridiculously tiny number. So let's fire up the car, head out of here, go for a little test drive. I'll give you some thoughts from behind the wheel. Now, the first thing with this is how trippy electric cars are, or this when you're driving in the electric mode. Now, I know they're becoming more and more standard and common, but I've not spent too much time in electric cars, and it is just the strangest sensation when all you hear as you pull away is that kind of electric whir in the background, and you just sort of gently glide along without the noise and emotive side of a petrol engine. Of course, you have a petrol engine in here that makes quite nice noises actually on shifting, when we get to that as well. But just driving now in comfort, full e-drive electric mode, you can feel the regenerative braking as well when you put your foot on the brake. It's all just very relaxed, and you can actually go one step further into Eco Pro mode, or you can go the other way into sport mode that way, where the dash turns red, everything livens up, and you've got a bit of petrol engine coming in to give us a little bit of noise from behind. That's where you can sort of put your foot down and you get the combination of the electric engine and the petrol engine. As a car and a driving kind of experience, I talked a lot more about it the two times I've driven one before actually. The first was just poofing around London, where you don't get to learn too much about a car, and the second I had a good run out in Germany. But for now, let's just blip it a bit. You hear that? It's quite nice for a 3-cylinder engine. 3 cylinders. And you get that nice kind of upshift sound as well at the top. So, as a kind of driving proposition, it's been around for a couple of years. People are getting familiar with this concept, and BMW used this as a kind of technological demonstration to bring this kind of hybrid tech that you basically see in the hypercars into a car available for 1/10 of the price. That kind of thing, and it has been very successful, and now there are talks of, you know, a more powerful version coming, because with 362 PS, that is one of the, I guess, draw sides, if you can call it that, is that the car isn't necessarily as powerful as the statement piece that it looks. So the AC Schnitzer package is about bringing the aerodynamics and styling even more to an aggressive front, giving it more sort of drama in the way it presents itself like that. So let's pull out here. Okay, first corner, even there it feels like there's a little bit more turn-in stability, which is of course the aim of those front wheels and lowering springs. From where I'm sat, the ride doesn't seem particularly hampered by the lowering springs and the much larger wheels. The gearbox is doing its thing. Obviously I'm driving in manual by pressing the paddles on the steering wheel, but we could just as easily put it into drive and it would be very, very seamless, automatically switching through. It's got a lot of torque to handle. You have 320 Newton meters from the petrol motors, and then 250 Newton meters from the electric motors, and you can feel that when you put your foot down. It pulls away very, very neatly, when you have the space, of course, to do so. Turn in, it has very kind of light and easy steering like that to get into the turn. And the full electric feeling. It's just weird the way it switches backwards and forwards between them. Obviously it's reverted to comfort mode by virtue of putting it back into automatic. But so we just come slightly out of this town, I put my foot down, and away we go, eerily and silently up to the next speed limit. That is so strange, but I don't know, I just love it. I like the technology, I like the integration and the availability of it, and the fact that this does it in such a seamless way. I thought that was cool about the i8 when it was new. Just the thing now is that if you do plant your foot, it doesn't have as much performance. The way these things are going and how rapidly cars and power is progressing, it's kind of got a little bit left behind, but at least now you can make it visually a little bit more striking. You do also technically have the ability to put it completely in electric mode, so it won't even restart the petrol engine at all, but we don't really want that right now. We want sport mode and to head out onto the Autobahn, where we can accelerate a little bit harder for a moment, not long because I'm on my way back towards AC Schnitzer, but enough just to hear a little bit more of the engine sound here, up towards the red line. So it's quick, but it's not fastest car in the world. It's quite a long way from the fastest car in the world. But we'll just head out onto a bit of de-restricted autobahn for a second. I'm rather thinking I'm going to have a little bit too much traffic, but we can have a little bit of fun. See what it's about. So, away we go. Okay, got up to 100 miles an hour pretty quickly, 170 kilometers an hour. Stable, comfortable, 200 Ks. Yeah, not bad for, you know, a car that's a hybrid with a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder engine. Who would have thought? Fold back in then, but let's have a quick look around here. I mean, you've probably seen a lot of this before. If you've watched some of my videos, you'll know about the interior of the i8 and what it all looks like. But if you don't, let's just have a quick whiz and pick out some of the sort of highlights. This is where all your sort of controls are for your different drive selection modes. Putting it in full e-drive mode, going up and down through Comfort and Eco Pro. The reversing camera system, of course, comes up on the large display. Also iDrive controlled through the iDrive selector with the new AC Schnitzer logo cap on the top of it. You've got a couple of sort of storage buckets, USB port in there. The armrest that opens up that way for the phone socket. Cup holder. Glove box is that decent. It's not the biggest in the world, but some bits and bobs in there. Shut that back up. You open the doors with the button on the top here, which is quite cool, and you can hear it sort of letting me know that I haven't yet turned it off. Maybe if I close that. Closes down quite neatly. No door pockets, of course, because naturally, imagine you'd put like your drink in a cup holder in your door, and then you do this. You will do a very good job of pouring it all out on the floor. Looking around, you can see a little bit more of the pedals, the AC Schnitzer pedals down there. Which are really quite nice. And then everything else I guess you pretty much know and expect. The selector obviously down for drive. You bring it down and then push it to the left to go into sport mode. Heated seats, windscreen heating, controlling through the trip information. You had a head-up display. So it's generally pretty nicely equipped. You've got sort of 2+2 seats in inverted commas in the back. I'm not quite sure where your legs would go, so that's mostly luggage space that you can have back there. There's also a small boot. Let me jump out and I'll show you the available luggage capacity, but stepping out's a little bit awkward over that. But then you do have the raw sort of carbon of the tub here. I mean, to have a carbon tub car at this price point is a pretty nice thing. The doors close down nicely. They're obviously very high, so no curb issues or anything with them. With the key, press and hold, open this up. See that you've got a tiny amount of boot storage space and the charger, naturally. So you can put a couple of things down there and then the rest in the back seat, but all sort of gubbins to make it go back in here. So is that closed down? Yeah. Let's just drop this down. And yeah, that is basically it. The ACS8, the i8 by AC Schnitzer, significantly improved in terms of looks, upgraded, given a more supercar styling design to it all around, and all the different parts that you can have independently as well. So big thanks to AC Schnitzer for allowing me to come down, shoot the car, make this little video, give you some feedback about what it's like. But do also check out my other i8 videos from the past if you'd like to know a little bit more about the car and more kind of driving review thoughts and that side of it. But for now, thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, I'm going to wrap it up because the wind has just come out in force, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers.